I sent my daughter to behavioral rehab at 16 because I believed my son's lies about her being violent. 2 years later, he was caught stealing, and I realized I'd ruined my own child's life. I, 44F, have 2 kids, my son Liam, 18M, and my daughter Ava, 16F. Their father hasn't been in the picture for a long time. I've raised them on my own since Ava was 5 and Liam was 7. It's been hard, but I've always told myself I did the best I could with what I had. Until recently, I believed that. Now I'm not sure if I've made the biggest mistake of my life. From the time they were little, Liam and Ava were opposites. Liam was the calm one, quiet, polite, good grades, teachers loved him. Ava was fiery from the start, emotional, stubborn, outspoken. I used to joke that she'd argue with a wall just to win, but as she got older, it wasn't funny anymore. She got detention for talking back, failed classes she used to ace, and slammed doors hard enough to rattle the frames. People kept telling me, it's normal teenage rebellion, but when you're a single mom trying to keep the lights on, normal feels like chaos. I worked full-time in medical billing, often overtime, and came home to find the house a mess and the 2 of them at each other's throats. Liam always seemed to be the mediator. He'd say, "Don't bother mom, I'll handle her." And I believed him. He was mature, responsible, and never raised his voice. Meanwhile, Ava would shout, "You always take his side," and storm off. I chalked it up to sibling jealousy. But the night that changed everything, it stopped being just shouting. 2 years ago, when Ava was 16, I came home from work and found a broken glass on the kitchen floor. Liam had scratches on his arm, 3 long red lines. He told me Ava had lost it after he confronted her for sneaking out the night before. He said she shoved him through the glass and screamed that she wished he was dead. Ava was in her room crying when I found her. She swore he was lying, that he'd taken her things, provoked her, and faked the scratches. I didn't know what to believe, but I was exhausted. I'd been getting calls from her school about missing homework and attitude issues. I'd had enough. Liam was calm and collected, while Ava was hysterical. And I hate to admit it, but when one child looks composed and the other is sobbing and yelling, it's easier to trust the calm one. I told Ava that if she couldn't control herself, she'd have to get professional help. Liam said he'd heard of a behavioral rehab program that helped teens with anger issues. He'd seen it online. He even offered to help me research it. Within 2 weeks, I'd arranged for Ava to go. I remember the night before she left. She was sitting on her bed clutching a stuffed animal she'd had since she was little. She said, "Mom, please, you're sending me away because of him. He's lying to you." I told her, "I'm doing this because I love you. You need help." She cried harder than I'd ever seen. She said, "You'll see. Someday you'll see who he really is." I told myself she was manipulating me. The staff at the facility said it was common, that defiant teens always blamed others. I believed them. Ava stayed in that program for 10 months. I visited once a month, but she barely spoke. She sat across from me in the sterile visiting room, arms crossed, eyes empty. She'd answer questions with one-word responses. Fine? No? Okay? The staff told me she was making slow progress. When I brought this up to Liam, he'd say things like, "She needs to hit rock bottom before she changes." He said it with such confidence, like he was the adult and I was the naive one. When she finally came home, she wasn't my daughter anymore. She was quiet, polite, and completely detached. She didn't yell, she didn't argue, she just stopped. It was almost eerie. For a while, I thought it was progress. She was better, but she barely looked at me. She refused to eat dinner with us, stayed in her room all the time, and ignored Liam completely. After a few months, she packed her things and moved in with my sister, saying she couldn't live here. Liam said she was being dramatic. I told myself he was right. That was last year. Fast forward to now, and I finally see everything for what it is. 2 weeks ago, I helped Liam get a part-time job at my company. He'd graduated, was taking a gap year, and said he wanted to gain experience. I trusted him enough to recommend him personally. Last week, HR called me in. They'd discovered missing inventory, thousands of dollars worth. Security footage showed Liam. He'd been sneaking items into his backpack, falsifying records, and shifting blame onto other employees. When they confronted him, he denied everything until the evidence cornered him. They fired him immediately. When I confronted him at home, he was defensive, angry, almost smug. He said, "Everyone steals a little, Mom. You act like I murdered someone." When I pressed, he said, "Don't turn this into a lecture. You never cared about honesty before." Something in that moment broke me. The calm, charming son I'd always trusted wasn't calm. He was cold, manipulative, exactly the way Ava had described him. All at once, everything clicked. The scratches, the broken glass, the missing things Ava used to accuse him of taking, the smirk he'd give me when she'd storm off crying, the way he'd feed me just enough truth to keep himself innocent. I spent years thinking Ava was the problem, but now I think she was the scapegoat for his lies. And I was the enabler. I don't know how to live with that. I've tried calling Ava, texting, messaging through my sister. Nothing. My sister told me Ava's in therapy now, working part-time, doing okay, but that she wants nothing to do with me. I can't even blame her. I took the word of one child and destroyed the other. The worst part? I wasn't some blind fool. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was protecting my family. When people tell you parenting is about instinct, they don't tell you what it feels like when your instinct betrays you. So, Reddit, Aida for sending my daughter away when I thought she was out of control, even though now I know I believed the wrong child? I can already hear the answer, but I need to hear it anyway, because every time I close my eyes, I see her face the day she left, red, streaked with tears, begging me not to believe him. And I did. I believed him, and I think that's the day I stopped being her mother. Update 1. It's been 3 weeks since my last post, and I haven't slept properly once. I didn't expect the comments to hit me the way they did. I thought I'd made peace with the idea that people would call me a terrible mother. I even thought I deserved it. But what I didn't expect was how much truth would sting harder than the insults. I read every comment, even the cruel ones. I sat there scrolling at 2 in the morning, rereading words like, "You chose convenience over compassion. You broke your daughter to keep the peace." And the worst one, Ava's still in survival mode because her home wasn't safe. At first I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell them about the nights I worked double shifts, how I gave up every ounce of energy trying to keep food on the table and chaos contained. I wanted to say I wasn't neglectful. I was just tired, but excuses don't erase damage. And the truth is, I didn't listen when it mattered. After I posted, I tried reaching out to Ava again. Texts, calls, voicemails, nothing. My sister Karen said Ava saw the messages but didn't respond. "She's still hurt," she said. "Give her time." Time. That word feels like punishment now. Every second that passes without hearing her voice is another reminder that I built this wall brick by brick myself. But I couldn't sit and wait anymore. So I drove 3 hours to her city. It wasn't impulsive. I thought about it for days, packed an overnight bag, wrote down what I wanted to say in a notebook so I wouldn't freeze up. I wasn't going there to demand forgiveness or make speeches. I just wanted to look her in the eyes and tell her I see what I did. When I pulled up to my sister's house, my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Karen answered the door, her expression somewhere between pity and frustration. She didn't hug me. She said, "Ava doesn't want to see you." I told her I'd wait outside. She said, "That's not a good idea." I said, "It doesn't have to be." So I sat in my car for hours. It started raining. I kept watching the front window, thinking maybe I'd see Ava's silhouette, a flicker of movement, anything. I thought about all the times she used to sit by her bedroom window when she was a kid, nose pressed to the glass, waiting for me to get home from work. I used to think it was sweet. Now it just feels like foreshadowing for everything I failed to give her. At one point, Karen came back out with an umbrella and said, "She's not coming out. You should go." I told her I'd stay until dark. She sighed, said, "You can't force her to forgive you." "I know," I said, "but she deserves the chance to tell me not to." Around 7, the door finally opened. Ava stepped out wearing an oversized sweatshirt and jeans, her hair pulled back. She looked older, sharper somehow. There was no trace of the girl who used to bounce on her heels when she saw me. She just stood there, arms crossed. "Mom," she said flatly. I opened the car door and got out, but I didn't move closer. "Hi," I said. My voice cracked. She didn't say anything. "I didn't come to beg," I said. "I just wanted to talk." She shrugged. "Why now?" "Because I found out about Liam," I said. And I realized... Her eyes narrowed. "Realized what? That I wasn't crazy?" I nodded. "Yes, that you were telling the truth." Her jaw tightened. She looked away toward the street. "It's a little late for that, don't you think?" "I know," I said. "But I needed to tell you in person." I believed him because it was easier. Because he looked like the one I could control. Ava let out a short, bitter laugh. You didn't believe me because I made things harder, because I didn't smile when I was hurt, because I wasn't polite when I was angry. Her words were like knives, but she wasn't wrong. I said quietly, "You're right." She finally looked back at me. "You sent me to a place that treated me like a criminal. They made me sit in circles and confess to things I didn't do. They took my phone. They told me if I cried, I was manipulating. Do you have any idea what that does to a person?" "I didn't know," I said. "I thought—" "You didn't want to know," she cut in. "You wanted peace." And I was the noise. I couldn't argue. There was no defense that didn't sound pathetic. So I said nothing. She looked at me for a long time, then said, "You believed the person who hurt me because it was easier than believing it was your favorite." I didn't even try to deny it. I did, and I hate myself for it every day. "Good," she said softly. "You should." It wasn't cruel, just honest. There was no anger in her voice, only exhaustion. After a long silence, I asked, "Is there anything I can do to make it right?" She shook her head. "You don't fix it. You live with it." That line hit me harder than anything else. "I've been trying to reach you," I said. "Not to beg, but to tell you that I know now. I know who he really is." She laughed again, this time sharper. "Yeah, I heard. Guess the golden boy finally cracked." "He did," I said quietly. "He's in trouble. Serious trouble. I'm not surprised. He's facing charges. He stole from my company." Ava stared at me for a moment, then said, "So now you finally see what I was living with?" "Congratulations," I nodded. "I deserve that." She crossed her arms tighter. "Are you here to talk about him or me?" "You," I said quickly. "Only you." She studied me for a long moment, then sighed. "I'm doing fine, Mom. I have a job. I'm in therapy. I pay rent. I don't need anything from you." "I want to help," I said. "I don't want your money," she said. "I wanted my mother when I was 16. That broke me. Tears burned my eyes, but I didn't cry. Not in front of her. She'd already seen enough of my guilt to last a lifetime. I said, "You may never forgive me, and I understand that, but I'm not going to stop trying to be better. Not because I expect you to notice, but because it's the least I can do." Ava looked down, her expression unreadable. "You know what the hardest part was?" she said. "It wasn't the facility. It was sitting there every day, waiting for you to believe me, and realizing you never would." She started to turn back toward the house. I said, "Ava, please, just one thing. Do you hate me?" She paused, her hand on the doorknob. "No," she said. "You have to love someone to hate them." Then she went inside. I sat in the car for a long time after she left, gripping the steering wheel until my hands hurt. I thought I'd cry, but I didn't. There's a point where tears don't help anymore, where you're just left sitting with the mess you made. Karen came out later, leaned into the car window, and said, "That's more than I expected her to say." I nodded. "It's more than I deserved." She sighed. "She'll come around. Eventually." "I don't expect her to," I said. "I just hope she knows I'm not pretending anymore." Driving home that night, I kept replaying Ava's voice in my head. "You don't fix it. You live with it." I guess that's what I'm doing now. I live with it. I wake up every morning knowing I believed the wrong child, and I don't get to erase it. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I know what I did. I know who I failed. I'm writing it because maybe if one parent reads this and chooses to listen before labeling their kid the problem, something good might come out of this. I thought I was saving one child from anger. Turns out I was feeding it, and now I get to live with the wreckage, quietly, just like she asked me to. Final update. It's been 6 months since the last time I saw Ava standing on that porch, arms crossed, telling me, "You don't fix it. You live with it." Those words stayed with me. They built a permanent room inside my head. I still hear them every morning when I wake up and every night before I fall asleep. I said in my last post that I'd live with it, and I have, but living with it isn't the same as being done with it. It's like carrying a box of glass. Some days it's light enough to forget, other days it cuts through the bottom and reminds you what's inside. After that night, I didn't reach out again for a while. Not because I gave up, but because I realized Ava had to choose to open that door again. I'd spent too many years deciding what she needed, sending her away, setting rules, controlling every outcome. I wasn't going to make the same mistake twice. Instead, I turned my focus inward for once. I started therapy. At first, it was just because the guilt was suffocating, but after a few sessions, my therapist started asking the kind of questions that stripped me bare. When did you first start labeling Ava as difficult? Why did you need Liam to be the good one so badly? It's humiliating how long I sat in silence, realizing I didn't have an answer that wasn't ugly. I wanted peace. I wanted validation. Liam gave me both. Ava gave me the truth, and I didn't want it. I told myself I was a single mom doing her best, but what I really was, if I'm honest, was afraid. Afraid that if I didn't control the chaos, I'd fall apart. And so, I sacrificed the child who challenged me to keep the illusion that I was holding it together. That's what therapy has taught me so far. Parenting out of fear feels like love until you count the bodies left behind. Liam's situation got worse before it got better, or whatever better means now. After losing his job, he got into more trouble. He'd been stealing small amounts of cash from friends and lying about loans. When the police got involved, I was called down to the station. Seeing him in that holding cell, calm, smiling like he always did, was surreal. He didn't look ashamed, he looked annoyed. "Mom," he said, "you don't need to overreact. It's not like I killed anyone." I told him he needed to take accountability. He rolled his eyes and said, "You always believe the worst now." Funny how that changed. And I realized in that moment that he hadn't learned a damn thing. Because for his whole life, I'd been his mirror. Whatever he did, I found a way to explain it, to excuse it, to polish it until it looked acceptable. And now that I wasn't doing that anymore, he didn't know who he was. I posted bail, but I didn't drive him home. I told him he needed to figure it out himself. He called me cold. I told him I finally understood what real cold looked like, and it wasn't me. It was what I did to Ava when I watched her cry and told myself it was discipline. He hung up. We haven't spoken since. Meanwhile, Ava kept her silence. My sister updated me occasionally. Ava was still working at a small bookstore, doing well in therapy, saving money to move into her own apartment. Every update felt like a punch and a blessing at the same time. Karen told me Ava still refused to talk about me in therapy. That hurt more than if she'd been angry, because anger means there's something left to salvage. Detachment means you're not even worth hating anymore. But I didn't push. I waited. Then, 2 weeks ago, I got a letter. A real one, in her handwriting. My name on the front. Just seeing it made my hands shake. Inside were 3 pages written in Ava's small, precise print. I've read them so many times the paper is starting to tear at the folds. Here's some of what she wrote. "I don't want a relationship built on your guilt. I needed a mother when I was 16, not an apology when I was 20. But I also don't want to spend the rest of my life pretending I don't care. You were the only person I wanted to believe me. When you didn't, it broke something I can't put back. But that doesn't mean I want you to keep breaking yourself now. I don't hate you. I don't love you either, not in the way I used to. I don't think I can yet. Maybe someday I'll figure out what's left between those two things." She ended it with, "You can write back if you want. Just don't write to fix it. Write like a person, not a parent." That line gutted me. Write like a person, not a parent. I never realized how much of my life I'd spent trying to sound in control, trying to be the adult. I thought authority equaled love. I thought certainty meant safety. But certainty is what made me blind. So I wrote back. It took me 3 drafts before I stopped trying to make it a speech. I told her about therapy, about realizing I wasn't the hero in our story. I was the one who needed saving too. I told her I'd stop defending Liam, that I hoped someday, if she ever wanted, we could talk about her life, what she loves, what she's learning, even if I'm not part of it. I ended with, "You don't owe me forgiveness. You don't owe me anything. But I'll keep showing up the right way this time, quietly, without expecting applause." I mailed it the next morning. I didn't expect a reply, but I've started learning that doing the right thing isn't about being rewarded. It's about doing it anyway. Yesterday, Ava texted me for the first time in 2 years. Just one sentence. "I got your letter. Thanks for not trying to fix it." I sat at the kitchen table staring at that text for 15 minutes before I replied. All I wrote back was, "You deserved honesty. I'm sorry it took me this long to find it." She didn't answer. That's okay. It's the most peace I've felt in years. As for Liam, he's living with his father's side now. They called me last week. Apparently he's been blaming me for his legal issues, saying I turned on him. I didn't argue. Maybe in a way, I did. I turned away from the delusion I built. I stopped feeding his manipulations, and for someone like him, that's betrayal. Do I love him? Of course. He's still my son. But I no longer confuse love with blindness. I'm learning that letting someone face their own consequences is love. It's not the kind that hugs. It's the kind that stops lying. I still think about Ava every day. I keep the letter on my nightstand. Sometimes I read it before bed, and for the first time, I don't feel only guilt. I feel respect, because even after everything, she's building herself back up. I ruined part of her life, and she still found a way to keep living. I told my therapist recently that I'm scared Ava will never forgive me. She said, maybe she won't. But forgiveness isn't the same as healing, and maybe that's what I finally understand. Forgiveness would let me off the hook. Healing lets her move on. If I have to be the villain in her story for that to happen, I'll wear it proudly. I don't know what our relationship will look like from here. Maybe we'll never be close. Maybe one day, she'll come to my house for coffee, and we'll talk about books or work or nothing at all. Maybe she won't. Either way, I'll be waiting. Not at her door, but quietly, respectfully, from wherever she allows me to stand. The last time we spoke in person, she told me, "You don't fix it, you live with it." I used to think that meant endless guilt. Now I think it means something else. You live differently. You stop repeating what broke you both. You start walking through your own wreckage and decide to stop pretending it's not there. I wanted to fix it, but some things you don't fix. You just stop breaking them further. And for once, I'm finally done pretending that's not enough.